Everyone, just wanted to give you a brief update on the plans for the train room, as these are the plans for the train room. I think a video or so ago I was talking about the design and how my track plan might lay out, and I was thinking about adopting a plan from Model Railroader. Well, last night I sat down and I tried to replicate that plan on a scale replica of my train room, and somehow ended up with 2 loops, which is great because that's kind of what I wanted. But anyway, what you're looking at here is maybe a rather I don't know, ambitious schematic of how the plan is going to look. I don't know if you can tell the colors in the video or not, but I have one of the main lines in red, the other is in blue, and then the black lines that you see are either sidings or yards or spurs. You know, and the sidings, the black lines are probably, you know, more of a hope than anything else. You know, this yard over here, I don't know if that's possible to actually do that, but you know, I'm gonna start with that line of thought and hopefully be able to work that out. But just a brief, sorry about the shadow here. I'm in the train room right under a spotlight, but what you see at the right is the entrance to the train room. There are going to be probably 2 bridges there, lift-out bridges. They'll be at most likely different heights. I don't know if I can get back down to grade level from here. You can see the red and blue together there. The blue line is actually just above the red line, and it's in a tunnel underneath the red line, which is the outer main. And so what I'd have to do is start really right around the mouth of the tunnel there with my down grade to get back to level here by the time I cross the bridge, in order to put both of those lines on one bridge. That's a run probably 11 feet, 11, 12, 13 feet, I guess, by the time it gets to the bridge. So I might be able to do that, just not sure yet. And as it crosses the bridge and starts around the other side, probably where you see the crossovers there, I've got 2 crossovers, one here on the right and one on the left between the 2 main lines. Obviously, that section, everything's going to be at grade. And as soon as that second crossover is complete there, I would begin my grade uphill. 2 lift-out bridges in front of that door of the attic. I've decided to use lift-outs as opposed to a movable module there. And the red would continue to climb until it reached the top here and starts back down. So it's pretty much just an oval. There's not a whole lot of interest to it, other than it's going to be climbing and descending, you know, running through some you know, some mountainous areas and so forth. Up here in the very corner is where I've penciled in the coal mine. You know, I don't know if that's where it's going to be or not, but that's where, you know, my tentative plans are. It would probably work better in a corner somewhere, and I'm thinking that's probably the better corner. Over here, I've also got something. I'm not sure what that's going to be, but there's probably going to be room for 3 short sidings here. Back over there in that corner, room for a couple of sidings, and then here in the corner right before the door, I'm thinking of putting my my lumber facility. Obviously I'll have to run some more spurs in there, but you know, again, the black is just kind of my thought. You know, I sketched that in fairly roughly. I tried to keep a minimum 24-inch radius everywhere. So hopefully those of you who have had experience with the longer freight cars can let me know if that's going to work. You know, I was going to shoot for 36, but that's just, you know, it takes up a little bit too much room. So I'm going to start with 24. You know, I'll test it out before I permanently affix the track and see how it goes. So as far as the size of the layout, over here on the top right, that section there is 3 feet by 2 feet, and then there is a 2 foot by 6 foot, 2 by 6.5, almost 7, down to the door, and that's 2 feet deep. Over here on the back wall, I've decided to go with 3 feet deep. I know that may be a stretch, but I wanted to work in as much action, switching, town area as I could. So I'm gonna let that be 3, and then this back wall here is 2 feet wide the whole way down until it hits the wall by the door, and then it expands to 3 feet. So that gives me quite a large area in the middle to walk around. I had a couple of thoughts about maybe turning this into a double level layout. I'm not really a fan of that, but I did give it some brief consideration, and I was going to put a helix right here on the corner, come out into the aisleway a little bit, enough to get like a 48-inch radius going up the helix, but I decided against that because then I'd have probably too much trouble over here by the door. The other thought I had, and I'm gonna pan off the plan for a minute, that's the attic door that is right here, was actually going through the wall and putting a helix in the attic. The problem with that is it's not heated, or cooled, and I thought about that for a few minutes and then said, well, that's not going to work. So I've got the room fairly clean here. That's my track, and I've got the Woodland Scenics inclines. I got 3%, 2 sets of 3% inclines. I wanted to make sure I was able to get my height needed back here in the corner in the mountainous area, so I went with 3%. What else? So yeah, it's pretty clean. I've got a couple of more things to get out of here tonight. I've got my shop back here and this old refrigerator still to get out, but it's clean and ready to go. I was out in the garage tonight, kind of straightening things up. I'm going to probably start demolition on the old layout this week, so I will definitely post that. And just a side note, out here is my kitchenette all finished. I posted a video on this a while back, and I never really updated it after that, but I ended up tearing the whole thing out and rebuilding it. I had an issue with the, and I think I mentioned it in the video, where the plywood was different thicknesses front to back here, and it put a real slope on the front of the countertop, so it just looked awful. But anyway, I tore it out and redid it. Just finished it up this weekend. Got all my backsplash and grouting and plumbing and everything in, and got my refrigerator in here. So I'm all set. So if I get thirsty or hungry, I got a coffee pot here, plenty of storage. As I'm running trains, I can step outside the room and get a snack. So anyway, I don't want to linger too much longer, but just some thoughts on radius. What minimum radius should I do? Is 24 too sharp? Should I try and make it a little bit bigger? I could probably go 26, 28 without a problem, and still have enough real estate to work with. Also on the yard back here, using curved turnouts at the right end of it, coming out of all those yard tracks into curved turnouts. Is that a good idea? Have any of you worked with those before in that kind of an arrangement? I don't even know if that's possible to lay out that way. I've got about a 3-inch center line to center line distance between the tracks there in the yard. I think that should be good. Down here, I don't know if that's good for the turnouts or not, but obviously I'm not going to know that until I start placing things. But just some thoughts on that, what you think works and what you think doesn't work based on your experience. Again, the red and the blue are pretty well set as far as the main lines, and everything else is up for discussion. So appreciate all your patience and the new subscribers. Welcome to the journey. Going to get going here this week. I'm not going to be able to devote full time to this every night. As usual, I have other projects. But appreciate your patience and you're hanging with me here, and maybe we'll start to finally get to some modeling. Talk to you later.